Hi everybody, I'm Missi Matthews and welcome to the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. We are getting you ready for the Steelers regular season finale in Baltimore. Playoff stakes are going to happen. We don't know what will happen inside M&T Bank Stadium, and some things outside of there needs to take place as well. We'll get to that in just a minute. Let's introduce you to our panelists. Craig Wolfley of the DBE radio broadcast on your Steelers radio network. We also have former Steelers outside linebacker Hall of Famer Arthur Moats and Matt Williamson, former scout, always keeps us on our toes, and also of SNR. So guys, let's go over the playoff scenarios. The Steelers and Ravens still have a chance, as do a ton of teams in the AFC, which has just been jumbled all year. For the Steelers, they clearly need to beat the Baltimore Ravens, and then they need some hope down in Jacksonville. They need the Colts to lose to the Jags, and then also they can, if that happens, they do not want the Las Vegas and the LA Chargers to end that game in a tie. That is the Sunday night game. And then for the Ravens, they need to win and a little bit more. They need the Chargers to lose, Indy to lose, and then Miami to lose or tie. So a lot of stuff happening on the outside. Wolf, knowing that this matchup is physical, we know what happens when these two teams go head to head, and they have to focus on inside the stadium first. What are you expecting to see on Sunday?
Oh, this is going to be just one of them knockdown, drag-out fights, I think. I look at this thing and I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm John Harbaugh. I don't want this losing streak to go to 6 complete, straight games losing. I don't want to lose to Ben Roethlisberger on his way out. I got all these different things. I'm, in my mind, thinking they're going to be locked and loaded and geared in because they do want to send Ben Roethlisberger off to retirement with a bang, such as Myles Garrett wanted to do last week. He didn't get it done, and I think the Ravens are going to be intent on getting that done.
Arthur, you've played in this matchup. We have seen how close these games can be, how exciting, how physical, as we said. What do you think we're going to see in terms of Steelers-Ravens?
And I think it's going to be like it always is. You throw the records out the window when these two teams get in the stadium together because of the natural rivalry, the natural hatred that goes with both of these teams, but also the fact that both of these teams are really familiar with each other. A lot of players on both sides have played in this rivalry multiple occasions, and you just know what it means in these type of moments. And when you throw in the fact that both teams still have their playoff hopes alive, man, I just feel like it's going to be one of those old school bloodbath type games where it's going to be a lot of big hitting going on out there.
Matt, the Steelers are dealing with a number of injuries. We just found out today that Deontay Johnson and Kendrick Green are joining Joe Hayden on the COVID list, so they don't seem like they will be available for Sunday. What do you see in terms of the Steelers' health?
In terms of their health or their help?
Their health.
This loss of Johnson is massive to me. I mean, with all respect to Kendrick Green, I think he has a bright future, but putting him to the side and letting Haas take over the center duties paid off well, and that's the approach I would have taken even if Green was available. But Johnson, I mean, he's clearly the number one receiver, double-digit targets every week. And just to take a step back, I mean, the Ravens are built with man coverage and blitzing, and their secondary is so ravaged right now. They've had to play zone, they've had to pull cover guys off the street. But without Johnson in the game, I'm going back to what I'm doing. I'm being physical at the line of scrimmage. I'm blitzing Ben like crazy. I'm hitting them. I'm making the ball come out quick because the Steelers' man beater is Johnson. He's the route runner of the group. He's the get open quick guy. They'd be in big trouble without him, I think.
All right,
yeah, Matt, you bring up a great point though when you're talking about Deontay being the guy that wins at the line of scrimmage right away. Very similar to what we see with Ray McCloud to an extent. So when you talk about Deontay potentially not being out there, it does handcuff what this offense wants to do in terms of attacking that weakness. I mean, when you look at what they've allowed in terms of passing yardage, that secondary, they're last in the league for a reason. But it's going to be hard to take advantage of that if you don't have a guy like Deontay out there. You absolutely hit it on the head.
All right, we're going to talk much more about the Steelers offense in just a little bit, but some positive news. TJ Watt was voted by his teammates as the team MVP for 2021. The third consecutive season he's won this award, the first Steeler to ever do so. Wolf, we've called him a game wrecker. Coach Tomlin said he's from outer space. There's probably not enough adjectives to use to describe him. Obviously, he could potentially break Michael Strahan's single season sack record. What are you expecting from number 90?
I expect, let me throw in two more adjectives, a heartbreaker and a widowmaker. That's what this guy is. This guy can go out and single-handedly wreck your hopes, your dreams, everything you want to have. I mean, just to watch what he did to that young tackle, Hudson, and the fact, he just kept coming, and you knew he was coming, and still you couldn't stop him, whether you chipped him, whether you walled to him, whatever you did going to him. So I look at what TJ's done, and I expected some big things from this kid from the start, just because talking to him, watching him grow a little bit, but to see how it's manifested itself. You saw him when he rushed the passer. He traps the kid's hands down. He runs the arc, sack. He bull rushes. He's strong enough to bull rush, walk you back to the quarterback. And then he's strategic. I mean, he backs off. He gets in the throwing lane. He sees the down distance in the personnel formation. He gets his hands up and knocks the ball down. I mean, this guy is such a complete player, and he comes along in the big moments, such as the first Ravens game, such as the Seattle game. I don't know. When you're the defensive player of the week 3 times in the 11 complete games you played, yeah, Zooks, man, that says everything.
Arthur, what else can you add about TJ Watt and just what he's been able to do, especially at the end of this season?
Yeah, man, TJ has been remarkable this season. When you're talking about a guy that hasn't even played the full 17 or 16 games, and you're still talking about him being very much on the heels of breaking a sack record that has stood the test of time. I mean, his play continues to jump off the screen. Every time we think we've seen the best version of TJ, or we think that, hey, he's going to plateau here, he continues to exceed our expectations. And I just feel like the sky's the limit for him. It's not a lot that he can't do. You talk about him in coverage. You talk about, in terms of Wolf breaking down his pass rushing. I'm like, Wolf, you sound like an outside linebackers coach for a second, man. Maybe you should have been on that side of the ball. But either way, I understand. But when I'm thinking of TJ, man, I just think that he is going to continue to excel and progress. And I hope he breaks this record this week. And the fact that it will be against the Ravens just adds the icing on the cake to me.
Matt, does it matter which quarterback? Obviously, we're paying close attention to the practice reports coming out of Baltimore. Lamar Jackson has missed their last few games. Tyler Huntley has filled in and kept them in some games. What do you make in terms of which QB it is? Does it even matter?
Oh, it matters. It matters a lot. I mean, one guy's a former MVP and is a total superstar. The other one's a nice young backup that's done some good things and is finding his way. Real quick on TJ, I just want to throw this out there. For those that don't realize it, the Ravens are allowing the most sacks per game in the league. I mean, it's the perfect team to play against. Their line has been a problem. The quarterbacks can hold the ball a little long, either one of them. But the big difference to me between the two as passers is the average depth of target with Huntley in there has been drastically lower. I mean, they're short, quick throws, where Jackson, they're telling him, hold the ball, be Superman, wait for plays to develop, and drive the ball down the field. And frankly, I mean, of course, Lamar's better in all facets, especially as a playmaker, as a runner, recognition, all those things. But that's a big difference, is where they're throwing the football downfield.
Sorry if I didn't explain myself very well. I was saying in terms of the quarterback, does it matter in terms of TJ potentially getting the record?
They both move very well. I would say Jackson's experience and pocket presence is better, but the blocking's not so great for either.
All right, we like that. We do want to tell you now about the Week 18 opening lines across the league, presented by Unibet Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you are in Pennsylvania and ready to place your wagers on any of this weekend's matchups, just download the Unibet PA app, or you could visit pa.unibet.com. We have much more coming up here on the Matchup Show. We're going to talk about Najee Harris's record day on Monday Night Football. Can that translate to Baltimore and the offensive line play when we return? Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Matchup Show presented by Unibet. Wolf, we can't have you on this show without talking about the Steelers' offensive line. They, of course, are dealing with some injuries. We know Kendrick Green is on the COVID list now. What did you make of their play on Monday night, and can that translate heading into this regular season finale?
Oh, I don't think there's any question. I mean, this culmination of this offensive line picking it up and being able to do the things that they did. It wasn't surprising. Look, in my mind, they simplified things. They went with multiple tight end formations. You had a lot more downhill blocking. You stopped with the east and west and all that other stuff. You took away some of the shiny things that, yeah, it kind of maybe makes the defense say, whoa, wait a minute, but also was making young buck offensive linemen go, whoa, what's going on? Because when you get those strength of formation shifts, now calls change along the offensive line. And when you're running the zone, now guys start to get confused about, gee, do I have him? I got him or whatever. And so you simplify, you get downhill, and you put some muscle to it. You know, I know that a lot of people, J.C. Hassenauer did fine, did great. One of the things he did was making sure to direct traffic so well. And I think that's communication is part and parcel of what maybe hurts Kendrick at times. But his snapping was terrific too. And the last thing I'll just say, because I know I'm getting a little wordy here though, don't forget the last time the Steelers ran against the Ravens, they ran pretty well. And I know that Kendrick Green, watching him walk Brandon Williams off the line of scrimmage, I mean, trust me, both these guys can play. I'm glad JC's in there too, but I don't like the idea that if you just say, well, you're going to hand it over to JC at the Kendrick's expense. No, it's one of those things. He's got some work to do, that being Kendrick. But JC is also a very confident player too on the inside.
Arthur?
And Wolf, I will say this. I do like the fact that when you get JC to get his opportunities like he did last week, it will breed a natural competition. And as we always say, competition just helps make that cream rise to the top, and you'll get an elevated play by both of those guys, which in turn will pay positive dividends for us as a whole as well.
No doubt.
Arthur, talking specifically about Najee Harris, the stiff arm, the extra effort, there's a number of things. What impressed you most about him on Monday night?
188 on the ground, 6.7 per tote. I think those were the numbers. Yeah, I mean, it was just an awesome performance by him. And to me, I feel like this is what we've been leading up to, right? We've been waiting for Najee to have that type of game where you can say this is a signature performance. This is a game where he really put it on his shoulders and he executed and finished it for 4 quarters. I thought from start to finish, he ran extremely hard. I thought his vision was on display as well with some of the cuts that he was making. And like you talk about, that stiff arm, man, as a defender, that is your worst dream. You're like, please don't ever be on somebody's highlight reel on the receiving end of a stiff arm. Najee, he had one of those moments. I mean, it was beautiful to see, but I do feel like that can be more of the norm for him. When you talk about this offensive line continuing to improve, continuing to get better, I feel like with Najee, the more touches he gets, the better this O-line gets, the better we're going to see of him. And that can be scary because he's already really, really good.
Matt, you already mentioned what the loss of Deontay Johnson will mean to the Steelers offense since he went on the COVID list today. Pat Freiermuth, he worked himself back in the tight end position. Is that a group that could potentially help?
Well, Wolf mentioned him briefly. I think Zach Gentry has come an extremely long way and deserves to be lumped in with the offensive line improvements. As a blocker, deserves more and more playing time. And I would expect a lot of double tight end sets. And maybe even Freiermuth starts to detach a little bit more. Maybe Harris detaches a little bit more. We've mentioned in the past a little bit that I think Harris as a receiver is just hitting the tip of the iceberg. So maybe this is a game you throw to him and Freiermuth more with Johnson out. I think that would make some sense, but I want Gentry in the game as much as possible.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining us here today on the Matchup Show. Before we go, we want to tell you about Pick and Win. Each week, participants can answer a variety of trivia and predictive questions to earn points. The person with the most points at the end of each week wins a prize. The grand prize at the end of this season will be a trip to the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas. It's free and easy to play. Just download the Steelers official mobile app, create a fan profile, and find the Pick and Win banner under the Fan Zone section. As I said, that's going to do it for us. Raise your hand if you think TJ Watt's going to break the record. That's what I like to see. 2 hands up for Arthur. We couldn't even see them in the quad box. I like it. He's very confident. All right. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a wonderful night.
What's up, Steelers Nation? It's TJ Watt. Welcome to the Pittsburgh Steelers official YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to our channel to stay up to date on everything going on in the Steel City. Thank you for being the best fans in football. Here we go.